Finally, after all this time, the new Smash Brothers game came out. And it's pretty popular. There's a lot of videos, a lot of gameplay, a lot of people talking about it. And after playing it very extensively for the past week, unlocking characters and playing with my friends, I really like Smash Ultimate. Now with Smash Ultimate being so popular, I feel like at this time there's not really that much that I can add that other people haven't already said. So I decided that for this video I'm going to do a full review of the entire Smash Brothers series from the classic N64 one to the Nintendo Switch one today. So let's start off with the classic that started it all, Super Smash Brothers for the N64. I've always been very mesmerized by the N64. I played a lot of it growing up as a kid, but I didn't really own mine till I was about, I don't know, maybe 18 or 19 when a friend gave it to me because they didn't want it. And I feel like the N64 itself is such an experimental time period in gaming. We had wonderful titles like Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and the list goes on and on of N64 games. But I think it's important to note what an influence the N64 Super Smash Bros. Game really was. Now, I need to admit, of all the Super Smash Bros. Games, it's not aged well. In fact, I would say it's aged quite poorly. One of the reasons why I believe that the N64 version of Smash didn't age well is not just because of the graphics. I think that some N64 games still hold up to this day, including Super Mario 64 and Paper Mario. I think those games are still very visually appealing. The thing that kills me about Super Smash Bros. Is the controller. The N64 controller was really a controller that you needed 3 hands for. It's awkward, the stick's in the middle, it's a bit stiff, and it just feels bulky. Now, in Smash Bros. Defense, the gameplay is a lot slower than the Smash games that we have today. And of course, going back from playing the newer series in the games to touching upon the N64 version, you really start to see how clunky it is. It's not quite as enjoyable. It's basically a very unpolished version of the games that came later, which, in the long term, I think is a good thing. It shows how that Nintendo had this game that was great for its time, didn't age well, but they learned to take what was bad in that and use it to make the other games a lot better. Now, I think there is some enjoyment to playing the N64 version of Smash, but you need to understand there's not going to be as many characters, there's not going to be as many stages, no Smash Balls, the animation is a bit rough around the edges to say the least, and the whole game itself won't be as playable as the later ones in the series are. But you have to give credit where credit is due. This little cartridge here is the bad boy that started everything. Now, the next game that came out in the Super Smash Bros. Series was the infamous big hit of the Nintendo GameCube, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I would show it, but unfortunately at this time I don't actually own a copy, but I have played the game extensively. And here's what I have to say about Melee. Melee aged very well, I think. Melee took all the bits of the N64 version, made them polished, added new, awesome characters, Mewtwo, Ganondorf, and Pichu, if you're into that. And, you know, I see why it sold so well and it was such a big hit for the Nintendo GameCube. However, one thing that I will say about Super Smash Bros. Melee is that it is not the best in the series. It is a very good game. I would much prefer to play Melee over the N64 version and maybe even Brawl, but we'll get to that in a moment. But saying that Super Smash Bros. Melee is better or more fun to play than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I think is a bit of a stretch. It is a great game, and you can still play it to this day, have 4 people smash and have a blast. But, again, like the N64 version, it doesn't have as many characters, it doesn't have Smash Balls, it doesn't have as many items, and also the game is not quite as fast-paced as the other ones are. Even with Melee, it still feels a bit slow to go back and play it. But, to be fair, Nintendo knew to build off of what Melee set up to make the other games in the series better. But that being said, if you want to go play Melee, please go have fun. I know places still do tournaments, and it's kind of crazy to me that this game has been still favored and fought over and claimed to be the best in the series. And I can see why. Another thing to note too about Melee is the GameCube controller is just fantastic. I think the GameCube controller is one of the best controllers ever designed that we've seen so far. And you've been able to use a GameCube controller for Melee, you've been able to use it for Brawl, you were able to use it for Smash 4, and you can still use your GameCube controllers in Smash Ultimate. So that's another piece to a test of what this game and what this system did. Now the next Super Smash Bros. Game in the series always has a lot of controversy around it, and the more I go back to play it, the more I sit down to think about it, the more I start to understand why. Now, Super Smash Bros. Brawl actually was the first Super Smash Bros. Game that I ever actually owned. And I played a lot of it. I played it extensively. I played it by myself and by a lot of people. And I played it recently, to get ready for Ultimate coming out, just to refresh my memory for the older games. And I gotta say, there's a lot of good things in Brawl, but there are some things that I do believe hold it back. Now, one thing that people always complain about with Brawl is this juggling system. So in Brawl, essentially what would happen is you could knock down a character with like your bottom smash, but they would bounce up so you can keep doing it and do crazy combos. And of course Meta Knight's broken, and then there's that thing with the Pokemon trainer where it's like you have to keep switching or else the Pokemon get weaker or something. It's a bit annoying when you look at the finer mechanics, but there are good things too. I am one of the very few people on this earth that liked the Subspace Emissary. I thought it was a great way to play the game. I thought it was a great way to build teams and practice with different characters besides doing the traditional Smash where you fight the characters and then Master Hand and Crazy Hand at the end. I liked it a lot. And the cutscenes were cool. I thought it was an entertaining story told with all these Nintendo characters. And then of course we got the introduction of Solid Snake. Sonic the Hedgehog, 2 long-term requests to be in the series finally were. And it was awesome. And I do understand why people didn't like the Subspace Emissary. It was very different, and it was a bit dark, like visually the game and the series itself was dark. But I think that the Subspace Emissary still holds up to this day, and I would honestly consider going back and playing it, especially if I had a group of friends available. With Brawl adding so many more characters, stages, gameplay mechanics, it was a good step in the right direction. But some of the technical choices and choices within the fighting engine really did hold it back. If I had to choose between playing Melee or Brawl, honestly, I think I would go pick Melee. I'm not saying that Brawl is a bad game or worse than the series or whatever, but I can see why a lot of people had issues with it. That and the fact, the Wii controller, I always had difficulty playing. I would always prefer to go with the old GameCube controller, but I don't know, it just always felt really weird having the Wiimote and the nunchuck in my hand. I just really wasn't big on that. The penultimate Smash Brothers game, Super Smash Brothers for the 3DS and Wii U. I do not own the Wii U version because I do not own a Wii U. I thought the Wii U was a pretty stupid gimmick, and while it did have some interesting titles, I could not justify the asking price for it. Maybe when I find it years from now and it's dirt cheap, I'll consider getting it, but for right now, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Initially when Smash 4 came out, I was thrilled. I was currently in college with my friends at the time, and we played a lot of Smash Brothers on the Wii U version together. It was amazing. Beautiful graphics, more characters, more stages, more things to do. The ability to customize certain fighters, and then you can use like amiibos to level up and train and practice against, and use them to fight and have like tournaments and all kinds of cool stuff. Even though I don't like the system of the Wii U, the Smash game was pretty good. Now, while I say it was pretty good, there is one thing that kind of bugs me about it. I think the worst thing about Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS was that it came out on the 3DS. Now, the Wii U itself was not an amazing piece of hardware, but it was stronger than your little handheld 3DS. The problem with that was that Nintendo needed to make a game that was compatible with both the 3DS and the Nintendo Wii U. And I don't think that translated so well. If you play it on the Wii U, it's super crisp, super clear, everything, right? When you play it on the 3DS, it's a bit clunky, it looks a bit pixely, and it just doesn't feel right playing. The buttons just don't feel right. Mainly because my 3DS, I have the Classic, it's a bit smaller and I got bigger hands, so it's harder for me to play. Now, you could argue that I could just play the Wii U version or get another bigger controller, whatever. But I think that translating between two systems really was a detriment to what would have made a phenomenal Smash Brothers game. Now, the Wii U version's amazing. If you have it and you don't have Ultimate yet, or you don't have a Switch, I think you can make do just fine with the Wii U 3DS version. But again, you need to realize that some of the things, as far as design choices, weren't the best. There wasn't like a Subspace Emissary mode like there was in Brawl. And I liked the Subspace Emissary. There was no real story mode. It was more closer to Melee, where you play the game, you have everyone unlocked, and you just fight. And that's pretty much it. Even with its limitations, I still enjoy Smash 4. I still think it's good, and I think it is worth your time going back and playing if you don't own the Ultimate version. And here we are, the big kahuna, the biggest boy, Smash Brothers Ultimate. Now, Smash Ultimate is actually the reason why I got a Nintendo Switch, and I actually got the Super Smash Brothers Switch with like the dock and the game and all that. But I also went out and got myself a physical copy too. Smash Brothers Ultimate truly is the ultimate Smash Brothers game. It's crisp, it's clear, it's quick, it has more characters than I could possibly ask for, even if it doesn't have Waluigi. It has more than enough characters that I think are awesome or that make the game worth your purchase. It brings back a Subspace Emissary mode kind of called World of Light, where you go and you fight like copies and spirits, and you collect all these Nintendo characters, and you level up and fight and do all these cool things and fight bosses and unlock characters and stickers and all these awesome things to do. World of Light is pretty sweet, and the game itself is awesome. Now, one point of criticism where the Wii U version didn't have this is that not all the characters are readily available. When you start playing Smash Bros. Ultimate, the only characters you have are the original 8 players, which is Mario, Kirby, Samus, Fox, Yoshi, Pikachu, Link, and Donkey Kong. Now, by playing the game, you can do like one-on-one matches to unlock characters. You can unlock characters in World of Light. You can do Classic Mode to do that too. And some people criticize that because not everything is automatically available. But I would argue that this actually makes the game more enjoyable. There's no shortcuts. You're not just going to, pay $50 for a paywall to get through it. You need to sit down, you need to beat the game, and you need to unlock everything if you want to play as all these characters. And I like that. I think it's a good choice in game design, because it gets me to try out different characters, whereas in, Smash for Wii U, I would play as Bowser, and I would play as Mega Man. And that's pretty much all I played as. But with Ultimate, I get to experiment. In World of Light, you start off with just Kirby, and then you get to unlock everybody. So, then I unlocked Sheik, so I started finding out that, yeah, I like Sheik. And then I started playing as Zelda, and I was like, ooh, actually, I really like Zelda in this one. And then I unlocked Isabelle, and I'm like, Isabelle is the best dog ever. Why would I not play as Isabelle? And then, I unlocked all these other characters, and I got a bigger bang for my buck. It would have been really inefficient for me to just play as one character throughout the game to unlock everything. And while you can do that, if you want to play as Kirby through the entire game, I'm sure you can do it and unlock everybody. But I think it just adds more of a flavor, more of a variety to the game, enhancing the experience. Now, another criticism that people have is the difficulty with World of Light. World of Light is pretty difficult at points, but it's not so difficult that it stops you from enjoying the game, or that it stops you from enjoying the story, or even stops you from unlocking characters. There's ways around it. So there's things called spirits, which are essentially like clones of other Nintendo characters that have traits or personalities that would relate to that particular character if they were a fighter in Smash. Now, some of these characters are pretty brutal. Now, there's one where you play as Pauline from the classic Donkey Kong game, and the thing is that Donkey Kong and Mario had kicked the crap out of you, while Peach, who is Pauline, is like gliding around and will purposely avoid you. So you need to find a way to get to Peach to beat her up before the timer runs out, and before Donkey Kong and Mario kick your ass. And it's hard. But if you don't want to go through that, you can fight weaker spirits to go around and then continue the story and unlocking characters. It's optional. And when you do beat it, you feel pretty freaking sweet, man. It's real satisfying to just finally kick his ass. But even with these criticisms, I still firmly stand by that Smash Ultimate, as far as Smash games are concerned, is the best in the series. Will it be the last? I don't know. Honestly, sometimes I think Sakurai doesn't like making these games. It feels to me sometimes that Nintendo is forcing him to do it. but you can't deny what an incredible experience it has been going from, our little gray N64 cartridge to the GameCube, the Wii, and the stupid 3DS one, and then the Nintendo Switch. It's been quite a journey with Smash, and as a gamer, it's kind of cool that I was able to experience all of it. It's a series very near and dear to my heart, and I hope my criticisms haven't necessarily made you angry. That's not my intention. I just wanted to talk about the games as I remembered it. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Kirk Talk on Smash Brothers, and I will see you guys in the next one.